said that he's from Missouri. I'm like, oh God, this is not gonna work. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ju, and today I am bringing you guys another video. So today's video is going to be a little different. I'm going to be doing a story time, how the Lord led me to my husband. So since it's a story time, it could be a little longer. And also I wanted to apologize in case I start looking a little gloomy. It's because it's raining outside and it's a little dark. So all the lights I have on is not even working. Like, it's not making me shine as much as I want to. So forgive me for that. Let me start. I want to start by saying that if you are going through breakup right now, just hold on or hang in there. You're almost there. You will get to the point where you don't feel the pain anymore. Sometimes it feels like you're dying, literally. I mean, because that's what it is, you know. So that's really what it is. But I want to encourage you that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And if you're in a phase where you're just waiting, not necessarily in a breakup situation, you're just waiting on the Lord will do it at His own time. There's no need to rush. I can say that now, but when I was in the place where I was single, I was just anxious all the time. But I want to encourage somebody not to be anxious. So my story starts in 2019. I was in a relationship in 2019. Well, before that time, but the relationship ended in 2019. And it was a deep relationship. I had built a wall around this person. This person was like my everything. You know how they say that you are my world. You're the air that I breathe. Literally. And this person was the air that I was breathing at the time. And so when that relationship crashed, I didn't know who I was. Like, I didn't know how I was going to survive it. I thought I was going to die. Like, I thought, oh God. Like, the way I was crying, there was no air in my lungs. Like, I was literally gasping for air every time I would cry about the situation. And so I was hurting. I mind you, I've been a Christian since I was 16, like actually since all my life. I was born in a Christian home, but at 16 I made the decision to follow Jesus and I gave myself to Him. And so I was, enthusiastic. I was happy. I was in love with Jesus and I was climbing up. And at some point in my life, I got to a plateau where I wasn't really, I was just there. I wasn't up, I wasn't down, I was just in the middle. And, in that state, you can either go down or you can go up. And so I was in that state, and then I started declining in my walk with God. And so that relationship also was like, it helped me to even decline more because, we're just doing whatever we wanted to do. So when that relationship ended, I had to find God again. I was like, okay, God, I guess let me pull you out of my back pockets because, wow, I need you. And so there was no one around me really to lean on. And so I went back to God and I was praying. I was like, God, I'm so hurt. I'm so broken. You're going to give me a new relationship, right? And because I wanted a new relationship because I thought that was the way that I would survive it. I needed something to hold on to, like a walking stick, a king to hold on to move on with life. But God had other plans for me, and that one of the plans did not include being in a relationship immediately after the last one. He had plans for me to do a lot of things before then. So and mind you, I didn't know this. I thought He was just gonna abracadabra me a new relationship, but it didn't work like that. And so I started trying to move on. 1 year after this relationship ended, I had not even moved an inch. At least in my head, I didn't think I had moved an inch. The pain was still as fresh as the last time. It was painful. I was shattered in a million pieces, like glass that was broken with a hammer. And it was hurting so much. It was painful. But I think one of the things that helped me to move past that stage was having my family around me. At the time, I didn't have them physically around me, but I had them a phone call away. And so if I was feeling hurt and in pain, I would call my mom or my sisters or someone to talk to, just to vent how I was feeling. And they were very patient to listen to me every single time talk about the same thing and just vent about the same thing. And they were very kind. They didn't shun me and say, oh girl, move on. They let me talk, and that was good for me. And so I would encourage you, if you're going through a period where you're hurting from a relationship or whatever it is, call family and friends and just talk to people. It helps you a lot. And another thing also that helped me was having work to do. I was busy. I got busy with my job. At the time, I got a promotion at my job, and that was very hectic for me. And so I was very busy, and I didn't have much time during the day to swim in this place of self-pity and pain, So 1 year passed, and not even a single person said, "Hi, fine girl, how are you?" Nobody talked to me. It was just me and my small apartment and God. I was like, God, I would cry myself to sleep. I'm like, God, this is painful. This is not easy. And then when you go to social media, you see everybody getting married, engaged, people booing up, and I'm like, man, this is not easy at all for me. So 1 year passed and there was nothing. And I kept going. The Lord was good to me. I decided to focus on myself. I was like, okay, let me focus on me, see how I can grow and be a better person. And so I got a promotion at my job. I got a better job, the same job, but I got promoted, and I was very busy now, and everything like that. And so I was working. And then after a while, the Lord moved me from that environment that I was into another environment. And so I moved to another place in the same state, and I was working and I was busy. I would still think about the relationship that ended. I would still cry. I would still be hurting. But I was gradually taking small steps forward. And then the Lord blessed me to the point where I decided to run my own company. So I started my own business, and I was even more busy. But I also had, the freedom of choosing to work or not. And so that was good for me. I was happy. Things were looking up again. As in, for me personally, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was like, you know what, God, I don't know. This place that I live, let's start from the place that I live. There are not a lot of guys here, okay? And the people that I like, the kind of men that I like, I can't even find them here. So I just kept going. I had a spec in my head of who I wanted to be with, or what the man should, look like and represent and all that. And so as a 20-year-old, I had written this list of the kind of man that I wanted. I wanted him to be tall, dark, and handsome. I wanted him to be a Nigerian specifically, and not any other culture or any other place. Just because I felt it was easier to deal with. I won't have to teach him or tell him why the stockfish smells in the house, because I like stockfish in my soup. It was just silly things like that. So that's what I had in my head. And so I decided after a while, I was like, you know what? Maybe God wants me to venture out of my where I am. Maybe I'll find a man if I venture out. So let me dip my toes in the water of online dating. And so I downloaded some apps for the first time in my life. I downloaded some online dating apps, and I decided to check them out to see what's happening there. And really, it was a waste of my time, because first of all, the guys that I was seeing, I was just skip. This is not, no. I didn't even get to know them, but at least facially, I wanted a guy that was fine, but they weren't giving me, what I was looking for. So I just kept skipping. And, after a while, I was like, God, I don't think this is going to work, because I could see guys like, with their camouflage jackets, with their guns going hunting, and they're saying hi to me. Like, how are we going to work? This is not, first of all, that's not my lifestyle. All that dirty, muddy, hiking, deer, that's not my style. That's not going to work. So I was like, no, it's not going to work. So I kind of gave up on that, on online dating. So I deleted all the apps. I was like, that's it, I'm done. And then so in 2022, I decided to go on a vacation. I had worked so hard the previous year, and I was like, I think I need a break from everything. Let me just go and enjoy myself for a week and come back. So just before I went on my vacation, my vehicle that I was driving broke down, and I didn't have a car anymore, and I used my car for business, so I needed a vehicle. And so I decided not to stress about it, at least until I came back from my vacation. And so I went on this vacation to Florida with my good friend Elizabeth. She's a perfect host. She hosted us. She hosted me. She had this whole itinerary of what we're gonna do every single day. She cooks good food, ogbono soup, akara and pap in the morning. She was just giving me this vibe. I was so happy to be there. I was well rested. I was at peace. I wasn't really worrying so much about anything. Although at the back of my mind I thought, now I'm in a bigger city, let me see if I can find guys that I would like. It's Florida, I'm sure there are a lot of black men here, let me see. But no, it didn't work out. Nothing works. 1 week is not enough to find a guy. If you're finding one for yourself, at least, it's not enough to find a guy. And so I came back to North Dakota without finding a guy, obviously. But I had fun at this trip and I was well rested. And so I knew that as the year began, I was going to just focus on myself, bettering myself, buying things that made me happy, investing and all that. That's what I wanted to do. So I was like, I'm gonna leave relationship aside for now and not worry about it. I know the Lord can hear me. I'm not his stepdaughter. I'm not a stone. He can hear me. So if he hasn't given me a man at this point, after like 3 years of being single, I'll just leave it alone, So and so I left it alone and I was working. And so I came back from that trip and I went straight to the dealership and I picked up a new vehicle. God was so good to me. And I picked up a new vehicle, from the dealership. Perfect, wonderful. Signed all the paperwork, did everything and went home. Now, this is my first time buying a vehicle from the dealership. Normally, I would buy a car from, just go on whatever. Someone's selling the vehicle, I pay cash. Just a cheap, simple vehicle and drive it until it's dead. That's what I did. But now I was tired of doing that because those vehicles were not reliable anymore. So I was like, okay, let me just get an actual good one from the dealership. And so that's what I did. I went home. Now, a few weeks later, I get a mail in my mailbox that says my warranty on my vehicle that I just bought has expired. I'm like, excuse me, I know I paid for this thing, so how is it expired? So I called the number on that paper, and they talked to me. They actually thought that they were from Hyundai. My vehicle is a Hyundai vehicle, so I actually thought they were from Hyundai. They were selling me something. And they're like, yeah, your warranty is expiring, blah 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 blah, and we're giving you a good deal as of right now. If you get off the phone right now, you will not find a better deal than this. And so I went ahead to sign up for that warranty with them, and I decided to call my dealership the next day to ask them, wait, I thought I just paid for something a few weeks ago. How is it that it's expired already? Are you guys cheating me? I was already ready to fight because like dealerships, I heard a lot of things about them. And so the dealership said, no, your warranty is intact. That company is just a company that's advertising something to you and you fell for it, so you should call them and cancel. I thought, okay, I will call them. So I called them the next day with so much rage, like, you guys lied to me, da 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 da. And they're like, no, madam, calm down. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna reduce the price for you. We're gonna give you an even better deal, and then you don't have to pay that one at the dealership. You can cancel that one at the dealership because it's more expensive and stick with us. And so I thought about it. I was like, yeah, that's not bad. You guys, your price is cheaper. And so I decided I was gonna stay, right? I called my dealership and I realized that it's so hard to kind of disentangle from that because the warranty and the gap and the car payment, everything's all together. So now separating the warranty and so many things, it was too much hassle for like maybe extra $50 or $30 difference. So I was like, I'm just going to stay with the dealership. And so the next day I called this company that sold me this warranty. Now with full on rage, ready to tear anybody off that tried to sell me anything. I was like, this is it, I'm canceling, we're done. And so I called, and I remember the person that picked up the phone, and he was like, ma'am, calm down, I'm not here to add more stress to you, I'm going to solve your problem. And I was like, okay, I understand you don't need this warranty anymore, I'm going to go ahead and cancel for you. I was like, okay, what's your name? He's like, Travis Trent. I'm like, okay, Travis Trent, send me an email to confirm that you have indeed canceled this warranty because I don't need it. I don't want you guys to scam me anymore. I was like, okay, I will. And a few minutes went by, and he sends me a text message, and he says, I couldn't get the email people to send you an email, but I have canceled it. I wanted you to know that, and I also sent you a refund for what you paid earlier. I was like, okay, thanks. I was pretty happy that they even gave me my money back because I didn't think that was possible. So I was happy about that. And yeah, and then he just started texting me. He wouldn't stop texting me. We were just texting. And I said, isn't this like a business line? Are you supposed to be texting me with your work line? I was like, it's actually my personal line. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so we just kept talking. And I honestly don't even know what we're talking about, but he just seemed interesting. And I just kind of engaged in a conversation with him. And he said, oh, do you have any social media? Maybe we can exchange our social media handles. I was like, yeah, I have Instagram. So I shared Instagram with him. He gave me his own Instagram. So I went to his Instagram. He went to my Instagram page. And on his Instagram page, he had only like 5 photos on there. And 3 of them was like abstract things. And only 2 of them had his face on it. I was like, man. The first one was a sandwich, a half-eaten sandwich. The second one was a rainbow, and the third one was something else. I don't even remember. And then the actual photos of him was one of the photos. He was wearing like suspenders and like baggy pants. I'm like, what is this? These pants are even bigger than you in my mind, because no, I have a speck in my head, so I'm already like sorting it through to see if this. Maybe a guy approaches me, I'm trying to see whether it's gonna work or not. So in my head, I was like, nah, I don't think this is the one for me. This cannot be the guy. He checked me out too, and he came back and he texted me and he said, oh wow, you're so pretty. I was like, of course, thank you. Thank you. And he was like, and you love Jesus too, because on my bio on Instagram, I said I talked about Jesus, and he was like, oh wow, and you love Jesus too. I was like, yeah. He was like, I love Jesus too. He was so happy to tell me about God. I'm like, I already know about God. And so he was, excited. He was like, here. He sent me 2 videos from his church from when he was doing some, writing. I think he wrote a poem that he was reading in church, and some other observation of glory that he was reading and that he was given in church. So he was so excited to share that with me. He was like, here, see, I serve in church too. And so I clicked on the video, like, okay, I guess I'll watch. And so I was watching the video, and I saw where he was walking to the altar to grab the mic to speak. And I saw his body in this video, like he was wearing shorts. You know how this guy, and mind you, in the photo, I noticed that, of course, he's a white guy, and he's in Missouri. At first, I'm like, where's Missouri? Oh, now, God, me, I want to live in Texas or Atlanta or Florida. I don't want to live in Missouri. Where's this place? So when he said that he's from Missouri, I'm like, oh God, this is not gonna work, because I have a place in my head where I want to live, where it's warm all the time, and where there are a lot of Nigerians and Africans, not any other place like North Dakota, right? So in this video, I saw him walking, and he was wearing like shorts, and his muscles, like he had toned legs, like as though he had been working out, and his shoulders were broad, and he looked so good from me. I was like, oh, is this the same guy? I was like, I think I may have judged him wrong. Excuse me. So I thought, wow, he actually looks hot in this video. So then my interest was sparked. So I started talking to him. I was like, oh, okay. I was engaging in a conversation. And so we decided to go home for the day and FaceTime each other. Mind you, he was at work. I was at my business where I was doing my work in North Dakota. He was in Missouri. Random thing that I don't want to call it a coincidence. It just happened because that's how God wanted it to happen at the time. And so we got home that day. I put on my wig, tried to look pretty for him. And we got on FaceTime. And I FaceTimed him and I saw his face. I was like, okay. I saw that he was wearing these bottle Harry Potter looking glasses. No, I actually like those glasses on him. I'm like, okay. I saw his neck was like firm and his shoulders were like, okay. I know that sounds vain, but you have to be attracted to the person first before you even get to the intellectual part of things. So we started talking, and we're talking about, God. We talked about God a lot, and we talked about God, about life, family, brothers and sisters, and all that. And I was like, okay, I don't know this guy, but I kind of like him. And I was already like liking him. The next day, and the first day we talked to like maybe midnight. The next day, we set up a date again to call each other again. And we just kept talking every single night after that first night. We never stopped, even till now. We still talk every time. We just kept going. And so I decided to pray about it. I was like, God, look, I met this guy, and he's actually really nice. What do you think about him? Although he's not tall and he's not dark. Like, when I say tall, he's 5'9". I'm 5'9" too. I always wanted I always wanted a man that was higher than me when I put on heels. So in my head, I was like, if he's not above 6 feet, I don't really know if that's gonna work. Because we have these ideas in our head of how we want our man to be, like we are using clay and molding him ourselves, you know. So I had to deal with that ideology. God had to help me deal with that. But anyway, I started praying to God about him because I kind of liked him. I was already liking him a lot. And I prayed, and the first thing I had was a dream. Mind you, before this time, I'd already been praying. I've been spending a lot of time in prayer with the Lord, and he had been increasing I have gifts that the Lord has given me. One of them includes the gift of seeing. I noticed that sometimes I would pray, especially when I've spent a longer period of time in prayer, my dreams are so vivid, so clear. And so I knew that my dreams was one of the ways that the Lord spoke to me. And so I prayed about this new guy that I met, and the Lord gave me a dream. And the first dream, I don't want to explain the dream, they're pretty long, but the first dream was something that had to do with the future. I was in his future, and I'm like, okay, I'm liking this already, because I've had other times where I've prayed about situations and the Lord just said no. In fact, I didn't even have to have a dream about that. I heard a resounding no in my heart, in my ear, and I knew that that relationship wasn't going to work. So, you know, this one, God didn't say no, he just gave me a dream, and I was like, okay, cool, but I need more answers. So I prayed again for some more confirmation, and the next time I had a dream about him. Well, he wasn't in this dream, but I knew the dream was about him. And once again, it's a long dream. I don't want to go into that, but I had that dream, and I knew that, okay, the Lord is confirming this relationship. And so I wrote that down, you know, and I told my parents about it. I was like, you guys, I like this guy, pray for me or pray with me so that we can know what the Lord is saying. And my pastors too, and everybody was praying, and everybody came back with, you know, I think he's approved. I don't see anything wrong here. You know, and I also prayed one more time, and I did get another confirmation that actually wasn't a dream, but was a confirmation for me. I wrote that down too. And so I knew that it was a go ahead for me. And so he asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes. And we started dating officially. It was beautiful. I was on cloud 9 all the time. We're always FaceTiming because that was the only way we could communicate. And we finally made an agreement to see each other for the first time. So we were gonna drive. One person drives 8 hours, the other person drives 8 hours, and we meet in the middle. But I ended up flying to him just because he was too lazy to drive. But he paid for my flights. He paid everything because it was blaming himself for not being able to drive 8 hours to me. But, you know, we had so much fun in that dating stage, and I visited him a few times. And then after that, in July of 2022, I went to visit him again, and he asked me to be his wife, where I got this ring from. And I think I have that video. I'll post it somewhere for you guys to see. So he asked me to be his wife in July, and I said yes, of course. Of course. And so we just kept going, and in September we got married for the first time. So we had a small indoor wedding, just us and the family. And so we had that wedding, and then in November we had an actual wedding where we went and invited everybody else to come. And so from the time that I met him at the beginning of 2022 until we got married for the first time, that was about like 6 months of just knowing each other, and we got married. And then I realized that God doesn't take eternity to do something that is eternal. Like, he doesn't waste time. People say that people think God is slow, but God is not. My mom always say God's meal grinds slow, but God's meal grinds the best. So other people can grind, it'll come out rough, but when God does it, he takes his time. He's so patient. Like, and he's not moved because you're crying. That's the thing. I love the Lord. He doesn't do things because, oh, my poor daughter, you're crying. Okay, here's candy. No. If the food is not done, it's not done. You have to wait for the food to be done. And so I had to wait for my own turn. And the Lord has been so good. And now we're expecting a baby soon in this year. And I think back, I'm like, I can remember when I was single and everybody else seemed to be moving on in life in terms of relationship and family. And I wasn't near at all. and the Lord was just doing, he was brewing something for me that I had no idea about. And imagine if I decided to run ahead of myself and go and just enter any relationship, I would have messed up the plans and the things that he was doing. You know, one of the things that I decided never to do was to enter into another casual relationship. I knew it wasn't going to work for me. And so if anybody came near me, or if I was looking at a guy, I was looking at potential. Is this guy husband material? Can I live with this person for the rest of my life? And if the answer was no, I won't say yes to any relationship. I wasn't interested in suffering a second time. And so that's one of the things I want to encourage. But I just want to encourage you today that if you're going through something, if you're hurting, if you're just in a waiting stage, just know that the Lord can never, ever forget about you. A mother cannot forget her suckling child. How much more the Lord? He won't forget about you, his child. You're not a stone. You're not his stepdaughter. You're not a slave. You're his child. You're his princess. And so he has a prince that he's preparing for you. And so I'm very grateful for the waiting stage. The Lord taught me a lot of things in that stage. He led me to pray some prayers about preparing to be a wife, you know, listening to a lot of podcasts and, you know, teaching. And even books about, you know, husband, wife, marriage, relationship, and how important it is, because marriage is for life. And once you enter it, I don't know, I'm not looking to come out. Once I enter, I'm in, and I'm already in. So I was really looking for a man that the Lord handpicked for me. And there's so many things that I thought wasn't going to work. Oh, culture. Oh, we're going to be different. Oh, he's white. The Lord wiped all that away. He fixed that even before I said yes to this guy. He fixed that situation. I didn't have to worry about it. My husband is so welcoming of my culture. Like I make him eat all my Nigerian food and he doesn't even complain. Like if he doesn't like it, he would tell me, but he's so easy to love. Like it just works. And so I just want to encourage you guys, if you're going through anything, just know that the Lord has got your back and he will do it. It doesn't take so long for him to do it. It won't take him long at all. Just have to wait. You just have to be patient. Okay. So that is my story on how I went from single in 1 year to engaged and married under 1 year, and even pregnant. And even pregnant in the same year. The Lord is good. So I hope you're encouraged by this story time. Thank you for watching till this point. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please go ahead and do so. And yeah, like this video and leave a comment if you have a question. If you would like more story time like this, go ahead and leave a comment for me and I'll respond to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.